Welcome to Monday, April 8th edition of Wasatch Weekends. I'm Kimberly Perot, and thanks for joining. On today's show, we are in the kitchen making the viral TikTok sensation whole orange cake in a blender. That's going to be a fun one and definitely much easier and quite delicious, so you're going to want to pay attention to that. Plus, chronic skin disease. You know, we don't talk about these conversations that often, so it's important to be bringing them to light. But before we get started, let's look at the weather. I love getting into the kitchen and trying new recipes, and this one was quite the fun one. Kevin and I made the viral whole orange blender cake, so let's take a look at that recipe.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
You know, I love to follow all the TikTok trends on in regard to food and recipes.
Yep.
That's really the only thing I use it for. So I saw this whole viral orange blender cake, and I thought we have to absolutely try it.
We have to try it.
So I did read that it is important what type of orange that you pick because they have varying levels of sweetness. Plus, with like the seeds and the skin, you really want to use like a thinner skin.
Right.
So we're using a whole navel orange. These luckily
with
don't
very
have
thick skin.
like I'd say
Kind of like you.
So,
You've got thick skin.
When it comes to working next to you, Kevin, I do. But if you check this out, you can kind of see that the skin is like I'd say it's thin to medium sized, right?
Right.
So we quartered it up, or you quartered it up.
I did.
Because you don't want the seed in it, because the seed actually creates a bitter taste to it.
Right.
And so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started. But what you want to do is actually just throw all of the wet ingredients in the blender first, and that includes the orange.
All right,
so
I am the Robin to your Batman, so you tell me what.
The Robin to my Batman. So we've got 4 eggs sitting out at room temperature, and we've got them here in a Tupperware. So we're going to crack the 4 eggs into the blender, or you can do the oranges. It really doesn't matter. We're going to let Kevin go ahead and be the egg cracking master. And it's pretty great. And then it really, you can use self-rising flour, or you can use regular flour depending on what you have on hand. And I had regular flour, so that's what we're going to use with regular flour and baking powder. Okay. And then, we're cracking all four eggs. The eggs. Then we're going to throw in our orange. Now,
peel and all, just
toss it in there. Insane, right? I'm really excited about this.
I don't know about this, Kim.
It creates like a fun, like really citrusy flavor and texture. Then we've got lemon extract. We want to do about a teaspoon of the lemon extract.
Got it.
And then we also need to include oil, and that's like the basis of all of our wet ingredients. So you don't have to use the lemon extract, at least that's what I've been reading.
I just literally put it in, and you said, well, you don't have to use it.
But I heard it gives it a little bit more pizzazz when you're tasting the flavors. So we did that, and then we've got oil. I think we need to use about 3/4 of a cup of avocado oil, which I've never seen a cake made with avocado oil before,
yeah, I've seen an avocado cake one time.
So Kevin, no pressure, but it's got to be exact.
Yeah, I'm pretty darn good at this eyeballing thing.
I can tell. So we were putting that in there, and then we're going to blend it up, and then we'll do the the dry ingredients afterwards. Now, the key with the dry ingredients is, apparently, this is what all the TikTokers are saying.
This is what we've heard.
This is what we've heard. I do my research, but I can't say that I'm an expert and I've ever made this
Oh no,
cake
let's
before.
just say you're an expert.
I'm an expert.
Let's just say it.
Get
it out
to you,
there.
Kevin, between the two
Get
of
it
us,
out
I think
there.
we're gonna get it done. So we're gonna go ahead and just blend this. We're just gonna do a nice little medium blend.
Okay.
see what happens. Looking great, looking great.
Very loud.
It is very loud. So next thing we're going to add 2 cups of all-purpose flour.
Okay.
And then 3/4 of a tablespoon of baking powder. Looking good. Plus sugar. We need to add our sugar. Sugar is always key when it comes to the cake. All right, let's see how we blended. Look at that. I mean, you can still see a little bit of the...
it smells absolutely incredible.
It smells great, doesn't it? And you can see in the blender that the peel is pretty diced up.
Yeah.
It smells great, actually.
Did a good job.
I'm awakening, you know? It's the orange and the citrus zest. Okay, so now we're gonna add 2 cups of flour in here.
Okay.
And then also yep, there we go, looking great. And then we need to make sure that we've got our 3/4 of a tablespoon of baking powder, because that's what's going to make the cake rise, right? So if you're using self-rising flour, you don't need the baking powder, which is great.
Okay.
You're nailing it, Kevin.
Look at this.
You know, and I'm actually impressed.
Yeah,
no flour
Kevin
on
can
that
measure.
wonderful navy sweater that you're wearing there.
Right.
All right, so we got the flour. We need 3/4 of a cup of avocado oil. We added that in. We need to make sure that we add 1 cup of the sugar, which is somewhere around here.
Right here.
I think we've got some granulated sugar also off the camera. So we'll take a look and see.
Do we need granulated or powdered on this?
We need granulated.
Oh, for crying out loud.
You know what? We're going to use powder.
We're going to use powder today.
We'll see what happens.
What happens here on
It's
TV?
TikTok,
It's live
you know?
TV.
It is what it is.
It's viral. 1 whole cup?
It's viral. 1 whole cup. There you go. And then you can also use the powdered sugar for later as well, so we'll see what happens. There we go. I think that looks good to me. So we're going to dump that in there.
Okay.
And then 3/4 of a tablespoon of baking powder. And then you don't want to just like do a real blend on it. You just need to kind of pulse it so that everything kind of gets mixed in, because if
tablespoon,
you make it,
did you say?
3/4 of a tablespoon. Yeah, just like that. Looking good. And then I guess if you pulse it or you blend it too hard, it makes the batter really dense and thick. So we're just going to lightly pulse this until it's all blended. That's what I'm hearing.
Nobody likes dense
Hey,
batter.
you know, if it's with a cup of coffee in the morning, I don't care what the texture is like.
We got it.
It smells delicious.
Get this. It does smell
All right,
good.
so we're going to go ahead and luckily we've got this handy dandy dough button on our blender.
Okay.
And we're just going to blend it a little bit. Nice and low while we're letting it blend. You know, you were in sunny Florida, so does this smell like Florida?
It smells like Florida. The Sunshine State.
The sunshine and, in my opinion, the citrus state.
Yes.
Okay, let's take a look and see how it's looking. Yeah, looking pretty good. We're gonna just do a little bit more. You know what I love about this cake, speaking of Florida?
What?
You know, my grandparents used to live in Florida. And I spent a lot of time going to orange groves and picking oranges.
Picking oranges.
Fresh pressed orange
I can tell your hair and your skin tone.
Yeah, that's why my hair is red, because I ate a lot of oranges.
That's probably it. I think that's a fact. True.
All right. This batter is looking great. It smells great. So the next thing we're going to do, I guess, is line our cake loaf with parchment paper, or if you don't have that, you can use the avocado oil spray. So you pick parchment paper, avocado oil. I know. The pressure is on.
Using this.
There you go. Yep, you're just going to spray the corner. At least that's what they're telling us.
Yeah, that's what TikTok says, so that's what we're doing.
Says. And yes, I have been consulting my phone with TikTok as we've been going through this recipe.
Okay.
We're going to go ahead and then we're just going to scoop it into the pan. And we've got a couple extra oranges.
What do we preheat the oven to?
We preheated the oven to, it depends on what recipe version you're looking at, 180 degrees Celsius. Whoa. Or, which roughly translates to about 350. Yeah.
Okay.
According to Google.
Got it.
According to the
TikTok,
worldwide
Google.
interweb. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and actually just clean this off really quickly. And then we're going to dump the dough. And it's okay if we've got one small loaf pan, but you know, you can make this is basically, in my opinion.
When do we zest?
We zest if we want to make a frosting.
Okay.
If we want to, or you can just kind of zest on top. I think we should just sprinkle it with some powdered sugar when we're done cooking.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Got to keep it simple.
It's live TV.
It is live TV. All right, so we've got that, and then we're just going to pour it in about 2/3 of the way up to the lid, because it is going to rise because of the baking
pour it.
powder.
You scrape.
All right. I'm going to make sure we don't over pour it, because then it's going to explode in the oven there. But
so how far up do you go? How far does this rise?
I would say about 2/3 of the pan you want to fill, and then you know, that's why if you did the parchment paper, Kevin, if it rises a little bit above over, it stays in its shape. I think that looks great to me. And then anything in excess, you can make mini loaves. Why not? Right?
Mini loaves, why not?
Yeah, who likes them?
Get a little muffin pan.
A little muffin pan, which we do have, and we'll do that later. But
have you seen the Muffin Man? Do you know the Muffin Man?
I do know the Muffin Man. Do you know the Muffin Man, Kevin?
No, I don't.
All right, so I like to do this just to kind of level it out a little bit.
Okay.
But man, it smells good.
It smells delicious.
It smells fresh. I think my senses have awakened, just like my mind.
Okay.
And here we are. We're ready to
Let's pop it into that 180 degrees Celsius oven.
Or 350 degrees.
Okay.
And then you bake it for about 35 to 45 minutes, depending on your loaf size, depending on how hot your oven actually is. Because did you know, fun fact, your oven is not necessarily as hot as it says it is, so you try to preheat it as long as possible.
Yeah. That's why sometimes people put a little thermometer in there.
That's exactly
right. So you can actually see.
You know, so that's it. So here we are. We baked a cake, a loaf.
Okay, 45 minutes.
35 to 45.
35 to 45. So you got to stay tuned for a while to see the outcome of this.
And we'll show you how it turns out. The viral whole orange blender cake. It's pretty great. I think you could probably cheat with this one if you wanted to and use a regular cake mix. But I'm so glad we did.
Why would you?
Exactly.
Why would you?
It was easy.
And it's fun. This was kind of a fun thing to do.
It was fun.
I was a doubter.
You were?
Doubting Kevin on this one. But I tell you, the aroma coming out of the oven, and I took a peek, and it looks great.
Well, Kevin, have I ever steered you wrong in any recipes there?
Just twice. Just 2 times.
Just 2 times. You know what? 2 times is better than 3 times. So let's take a look at it. So if you wanted, like I've heard, if you wanted to cool the cake first and let the drizzle kind of settle on top without it soaking into the cake, then you like let it fully cool before you put it on. But I love to have like that delicious like
it's got to be warm
frosting kind of melted into it. So it looks great. I love that you flipped it over on the cutting board. And not on the plate that we have sitting here, Kevin.
Well, you do this. So now it's right side up.
There we go.
Doubting Kim. You know
today
this is a professional production.
It is.
And we gotta look at.
Be laughing at our colleagues.
Now, so putting our homemade little glaze thing on here, we've zested 1 orange. We put a little bit of vanilla extract, a little bit of the orange extract in there, some powdered sugar, stirred it up. So that's good to go.
It looks great. And then obviously you want some sort of milk to blend it all
coconut
together.
Milk.
We use coconut milk, which is dairy free. Obviously, I think this whole recipe is dairy free. So it's going to be a great one to have with coffee when we're done with the show here. So we'll go ahead and put a little bit of drizzle on it. And
okay, now one thing I like to do when I drizzle is I'll usually take and I'll cut down about 1 inch into the pieces.
It looks delicious.
And then I like to drizzle on top with the slices in.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's
because this way you get it down into the cake a little bit.
That's exactly how I apply my butter to my baked potato.
Oh, it is not.
It is. I slice it down. I got that from my dad. Oh my gosh, it looks delicious. And then if we wanted to add a little bit more powdered sugar to it, you can. But we've got some here just in case. But man, oh man, it looks incredible.
Delicious.
Is it time to cut into it?
Try it.
I'm going to try it. We've got the knife. I'm going in. Okay, I'm more of a centerpiece, but a center kind of slice girl, but I'm going to.
And I know the viewers cannot smell this, but it is incredible. It just smells amazing.
Honestly, it reminds me of summer and springtime, and man, this would be a great, I'm just going to have a small little piece here.
Have a small little piece.
Here we go. 3.
Oh yeah, that says it
all.
That face speaks volumes.
It's moist. I know that we use powdered sugar, not regular sugar, but I tell you what.
Maybe that's something you change. You don't want it too sweet.
The perfect amount of sweetness. It's so good. It's light. It's fluffy. It's definitely got all of the moisture in it that we need. So it's a perfect breakfast cake or anytime cake.
We're gonna dig into this and be right back with more.
Conversations and products are always being had about how to take care of your skin, whether it's through your daily routine and beyond. But chronic skincare condition awareness is very important as well, because it's a conversation that people don't have often. Let's take a look.
To the show. Now I have Bruce and Brandon standing by to talk about a chronic skin disease that I just learned about, GPP, generalized pustular psoriasis. How are you guys doing? Hi, yeah, Bruce. Hi, Brandon. Here. How are you guys doing?
Good.
So
doing great. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Thank you guys for showing up so early this morning too. Now I had a question. What exactly is GPP and why is it so important to get checked out to see if this is something I just learned about this today. I honestly had never heard about it before.
Well, GPP stands for generalized pustular psoriasis. It's a type of psoriasis, but much rarer than the common plaque psoriasis your audience might be more familiar with. GPP is characterized by flares where the skin becomes widespread in its redness, and in those red patches are pus pimples or pustules. Importantly, people who have GPP experience a lot of skin pain and soreness and tenderness while they have their flares, and they feel unwell. They might have a lot of fatigue, fever, chills, arthritis, and importantly, untreated, GPP can be a systemic illness. In other words, it can lead to a hospitalization, and there are patients who can die from untreated GPP.
Wow. And now, Bruce, has this been around for a very long time?
Well, I'm sure GPP has been around as long as we can keep records. It's a condition that's probably related to our genes, and okay, people who inherit the ability to have GPP are predisposed to these flares for their life.
Wow. Okay, and Brandon, when did you find out that this was something that you were living with?
It was a pretty rare case where my first flare-up happened when I was 11 months old.
Oh, wow.
It started out on my chest and quickly spread to my arms and my back. And I was brought straight to a children's hospital where I was admitted, and I was there for many months before I actually got a diagnosis. I had dozens of doctors always coming by and running different tests to try to figure out what was going on with me.
Wow. Is that, so learning about, obviously you were little and you've lived with this your whole life. How has this kind of affected you?
Well, since I've lived with it my whole life, I really don't know what it would be like to not have it.
Right.
To me, it's something I've had to deal with. And when I think about it, I realize how scary it could be for somebody who's gone most of their life being healthy and then suddenly getting an onset of GPP, and how scary that could be.
Right. No, I think it's so brave of you, and thank you for sharing this story as well so people can really, just like you said, I can't imagine waking up one day, like you've known this your whole life, but waking up one day having been healthy and then seeing this and not knowing what it is. So thank you for spreading the awareness and sharing your story, because it will help others, because this is something I've never even heard about before today, to be real,
And you're definitely not the only one. I mean, I've ran into medical doctors that know nothing about GPP, and that's another really scary thing, to try to seek out medical attention, and the doctors themselves not knowing anything about it, so not knowing how to treat you.
What are some of, because that's such a good point, what are some of the first signs that someone would notice if this is something that was happening to them?
Well, initially they might notice that the red rash appears on their body and it's tender, sore, and painful. And then in that rash are pus pimples developing. And then they just feel unwell. They feel fatigue, and they might have fever and joint pain, chills, just an inability to carry out basic activities of life, either personally or professionally.
Wow, this is so interesting to me. Just, it's wild how many things that we don't think about that are out there that we would never even know about. So thank you guys both for bringing light to this. I was wondering how many, is it usually, does it affect more women or men, or is it pretty even throughout the board?
It's pretty equal opportunity. In most studies, you'll see more women affected than men, but that doesn't mean men can't be affected. And it basically presents most commonly in middle-aged adults in their 40s and 50s. But again, any age group could be affected.
Okay, great. Well, for all this information and more, because I know I could talk to you guys all day about this, it's so interesting, and I really do appreciate both of you, giving us the information on this so people are aware and spreading this awareness. Where can people go to learn more about GPP?
Well, there's a great website, gppandme.com. It provides a lot of information about the disease, patient experiences, and as well, there's a link to an interesting art installation called The Unwearable Collection, a nice video there, which is an artistic depiction of what patients experience while having GPP flares.
Well, thank you guys both for being here with us today and educating me and so many others on GPP. And I wish you well, Bruce and Brandon. I hope that you just have a great day ahead. Happy Friday.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you so much.
I certainly hope you were energized by today's conversations. Thanks for joining. I'm Kimberly Perot, and we will see you next time on Wasatch Weekends.